We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Live in the den. What's up, my brethren? What's up, Big Gerald? What's up, Big Gerald? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Ready to talk this wrestling talk, brother. I'm ready. I'm excited.
Oh man, not as excited as me, guys. I want to introduce you. I want to welcome you to your new number one home for wrestling talk, rumors, and everything in the world. The Mars Media Empire has expanded in a most glorious way. We are now tackled music, we've tackled lifestyle, we've tackled food, we've tackled travel, we've tackled sports, we've tackled everything. But now my heart, baby, my heart, and I couldn't have a better wise man, if you would, to guide me on this journey. Welcome to the Two Horsemen Wrestling Podcast. Everybody, give ourselves a round of applause. Inaugural episode, baby, episode one, man. So we are going to tell you a little bit about ourselves and what make us qualified to be your new number one home for wrestling news, talk, chat, and everything else, and how we fell in love with the great art, the sacred square circle, and a little bit about ourselves. So I'm going to introduce my wise man, my counsel, the one and only Big Gerald. You know him from Down in the Den After Dark. You've seen him on Politicking as usual. He's going to be on the upcoming Blow the Whistle Sports. He's got some things cooking himself. And when I say cooking, I mean that literally. The man is a chef, a bartender, a wise man of his own right. There's not enough superlatives, but please tell the people, Big Gerald, your name, your background, and what makes you certified to be one of the two horsemen and give this people this wrestling insight.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is. All right, I'll stop. I ain't gonna do that. No copyright here. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Big Gerald, aka the Pharaoh of Christian Mingle. Where, as you know, everything we do over there goes up, as you will. Special counsel to the bearded one. And ladies and gentlemen, I have been a wrestling fan since day one. Literally since day one. I have some family members who wrestle currently for different promotions, and man, I just been a student of the game. I love the aspects of it. I love the behind the scenes part, the production, and I definitely love the athletes who put their bodies on the line for us. So it's an honor to be a part of the Horsemen. And don't think that you could just run up on us. I got a bionic elbow for anybody who thinks otherwise.
Absolutely. If you run up, you will get done up immediately, if you will. And guys, you know who I am. It's your boy Mars, aka Marlon Beardo, the bearded weirdo, the bearded one. And I'm here with my brother, Big Gerald, my wise man. And same story, man. I've been introduced to pro wrestling probably when I was 2 or 3 years old and fell in love instantly. It was everything that I loved in the world: storytelling, action, bigger than life cartoon characters. I grew up in the WWF 80s, but of course, as I got older, I got into the hardcore ECW and NWA, and then I was prime when the NWO took over and the wrestling world changed in '96 and the Attitude Era. I was there front seat, and now 30 years later, I'm still in the game, still loving it. So man, I also want to give a shout out to the Smart Marks podcast. Those guys embrace me as one of their own, and they will collaborate on this show on some episodes. But these guys are great wrestling podcasters themselves, and I had the honor of guesting on that show, and that's not going to stop. But we had their full support and moving on in this realm and giving us our perspective because we are elite, just like the Horsemen. That's why this show is inspired. Probably one of the greatest factions. I'm sure we'll have a debate episode about that. But so in honor of that, it's two brothers here with the two horsemen, baby. And we're going to have some guests during the year. We're going to have so many things for you. But, man, we're going to get into it, man. 2023 is over. 2024 has begun. There's been some epic shifts in the landscape of pro wrestling. And I feel this is a perfect time to kind of recap what we felt for 2023 and then give you our predictions of what's going to be occurring or what we want to occur for not just from a fan's perspective, but just from, People that really appreciate the art. So there's art. You see a shout out to the Iron Claw. It's become true cinema, man. This is going to probably be the second Academy Award winner about our sacred squared circle, man. So let's get into it. First thing we are going to talk about on today. All right. So first, we're going to get with the Booker of the year. For those who don't know what Booker means in wrestling terms, this is the Booker man. This is the person who's putting the card together, who's booking the storylines, who's really in charge. In the day of past, it would be someone like a Dusty Rhodes or, who are some great bookers that you can recall, Big Gerald?
Bobby Heenan, um, the wise man to the tribal chief,
Of course. Paul Heyman
Eric
probably one of my
Bischoff.
favorite. Eric Bischoff, questionable
Yep,
booking, but at one point he was kicking WWE's ass, so we got to give him some credit. So,
yep.
uh, and this is not just America. We consider New Japan, we consider independence, we consider it all. But who do you have as the Booker of the Year? Who do you think put the best show on after show for the whole year?
It has to hands down go to Triple H. Can't dispute it. The 2 nights of WrestleMania were amazing. The stories that got put together, and not only that, he took a regular 3-star match and made it a 4-star match. But we'll get into that when we talk about match of the year. But I mean, Tony Khan has been doing great. Impact Wrestling, who which is about to be TNA again, uh, put on some nice shows. But Triple H did it, and in the midst of Vince retiring, kept it afloat. So I'll give him the hat, Triple H.
The game. Yeah, man. I absolutely concur, man. Tony Khan, I had so much faith in AEW when it first began, but it's just drastically become a really rich kid playing with his toys to me. And I know this is not a place where I'm just going to slander AEW, but just for me, um, if AEW would have came out 5, 6 years ago, when Vince was really at the bottom of the barrel, they may have had an opportunity. But Triple H has steered this ship swimmingly to the point where I actually look forward to Raw. I've actually looked forward to NXT. I look forward to SmackDowns. I look at the pay-per-views. I'm into the character development. It's a wrestling renaissance, really, for me. And I think that's spearheaded directly by Triple H, somebody that is old enough to still respect the old ways, and it's kind of like that last chink from the past of the old, but also young enough to adapt to what's modern and have it from a wrestler's perspective. So he gives them more time off. He lets them be with their family. Like, I was shocked that it was like a taped SmackDown or like a best of show. Normally Vince would have been like, "Oh, it falls on
Yeah, we
Christmas Eve,
working.
we working." So you can tell that the wrestlers are happy and it shows in the show. So for me, that goes to the man, Paul Levesque, Triple H, the King of Kings. I agree, Booker of the Year. Shout out to Triple H. He did his damn thing, man. But Tony Khan, man, what do you think about Tony Khan's behavior? Because I feel like he's been going off the rails, if you know what I mean.
So Tony Khan got something, and like a good politician, he broke his promises early. When you look at it, AEW, it's not been around that long, but everything he promised it was gonna be, make it comfortable where wrestlers can come and actually put them on, and we're gonna utilize them. It's not about much as entertainment as it is wrestling. Everything he said he was gonna do has just been untrue. I mean, yes, it's great that a lot of the wrestlers we know and love got another place where they can make money, but he's having some of the same hiccups or growing pains as the WWE used to have. Wrestlers who are disgruntled because they're not getting any airtime. The female wrestling product is non-existent, and his top prize wrestlers aren't afraid to voice their frustration and or leave. So for me, Tony Khan, he did what a good politician did. Oh man, this shiny, we're gonna compete, we're gonna be the next biggest thing. And he's not been able to foot his end of the bill, so to speak.
Yeah, man. I feel like I got the snake oil salesman. You know what I mean? And it reminds
Hmm.
me of WCW toward the end, and TNA also did the same mistake where they just hired every single person that the WWE released, and then it just
Hmm.
became clogged, and nobody has any purpose, no direction. Wrestlers get introduced, and then they just disappear for months on end. They had this ranking system that they just kind of disappeared with all of a sudden. Um, the best wrestlers on your card are arguably 50-year-old Christian and 49-year-old Edge. I'm sorry, Adam Copeland. Um, Wrestlers seem like they're getting hurt more. I know he always says we have a top-notch medical staff, but it seems like these wrestlers getting hurt more often. I've seen some messiness. It's real wild, wild west. But I think the biggest problem with AEW and with Tony Khan is that he won't to follow the football model. Football has a general manager, they have a head coach, they have an assistant coach, they have a director of this, and everybody is in charge of something. And I feel like he just wants all the credit when it goes well, but then there's an excuse when it goes bad. And I think there's so many great minds that are out there that if I was him, I would be like, when does Paul Heyman's contract end? And I'm making you as one of my heads of
Right.
create. Somebody I know he's controversial, but he really is great at not losing touch to the old school wrestling element. Is what's this guy? He's always had a tennis racket. Jim Cornette.
Who?
Jim Cornette.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, he's someone that has a great mind.
Jim
Like
Crow.
you could utilize him. Um, a lot of other wrestlers, like he has the money to literally put a wrestling dream team in every department. And instead, he's like a selfish kid with these toys. Like, these are mine, these are mine, these are mine. And he doesn't want to. And I think ultimately, Vince had some of that. You know, Vince put the wrestlers that look like the action figures he wanted to play with. So, you know, he's got a
Hmm.
lot. He considers himself the anti Vince, but I see a lot more Vince in him uh, than he would probably care to admit.
Oh yeah, he definitely makes it to where he's making the mistakes that WWE used to make early 2000s. You know, when the product started to change a little bit from the Attitude Era. You know, no more putting on Shawn Michael like type players. The Bret Harts that you so graciously have on your shirt. It started becoming a big beefy men as they call them, pause. And so it became more of that. With Tony Khan, it's more of the wrestlers that he would love to push. His executives can get hurt. Kenny Omega, wonderful wrestler, can't stay healthy, and or he put his faith in a lot of wrestlers that went like Cody Rhodes. He was disgruntled. You know, he tried, but then ultimately, Triple H, Silver Tongue, come on home, and like, we'll get into that in a little bit. For me, Tony Khan, he says that he's something, but he's not learning from all the mistakes that they made. Like you said, he had to. At one point, he signed so many wrestlers, he could have put on quote bash at the beach, and nostalgia would have poured all over it. I mean, you have one of the greatest ring announcers of all time in Jim Ross, Taz, and hell, even Chris Jericho's great in the commentary. So he could have switched some things up. He could have made it lively. I just think he dropped the ball.
Yeah, like I said, he is looking at wrestling that he wants to see. And that's fine. You're the owner of the company. But when you're a business owner, you have to look at what the people want to see. And I don't think he's reaching a broad enough audience. And that's why you don't see any audience grow. He's got his like point 0.8 that's going to tune in regardless of what he puts out. But the other people, have definitely turned the leaf. So
Hmm.
congrats, Hunter, my guy. You get the all right, all right. So my man Hunter, Triple H, Paul Levesque, Book of the Year. We salute you here at the Two Horsemen. So next we're gonna get into breakout superstar of the year. This is the person, man or female. If you want, we could do both. That just really kind of grabbed the brass ring and took themselves to another level that we didn't know was there. So you started last round, so I guess I start this round. For me, there was a wrestler that 2 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, this guy is going to be, wrestling an impact if he's lucky. I didn't think he had the look. I didn't think he had the charisma. I didn't think he had that much ring talent. And boy, was I wrong in all levels. He wrestled more matches this year than any other wrestler besides Cody Rhodes. He is the man that you love to hate the most. I don't care what anybody says. He's the number one heel in the business, not Roman Reigns. But for me, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, man, you
Wow.
could argue MVP. But if you go back and you look at that clean cut, doughy with the Power Ranger onesie, and he's 3 feet taller than his dad, and you were like, man, this guy just skipped NXT and was just silver spoon right to the main roster. You're like, how much power does Rey Mysterio have to get this guy a job? And now you're like, man, that was the steal of the century. A lot of people say MJF is great as a heel. I always thought it was, it was stick, and we can get more into that later. But this guy can't even get a word in. A word. And I don't know if any of you guys have been to a live show. That is not piped in. That is legit. A lot of it has to do with his pairing with Rhea Ripley. I think a lot of people are jealous that this Cooper gets to be an on screen, but the chemistry is perfect. He gives me Eddie Guerrero vibes with, his
Hmm.
slimy moves, even his hair. He's almost morphing into Eddie Guerrero. And he's still like 24, 25 years old or something like that. In wrestling terms, that is like a rookie. So to me, man,
Hmm.
Dirty Dominic still, I don't know why they didn't go with ex con Dom. That's what I would have went with. But Dirty Dom, whatever. Man, he's my breakout superstar of the year. Shout out to Dirty Dominic.
Well, I thought about this long and hard for myself. That's actually a good choice. I actually have a tie for this, and you
Okay.
mentioned one of the people that tied, and I guess I'll start with her first because WWE last year without Rhea Ripley is a different product. Rhea Ripley single-handedly for the women and men's division held it together. Once Roman went part-time, the bloodline was treading water until Roman came back in the picture. They needed a group that was going to keep them together. And the Judgment Day was also treading water until Mommy took over. Um, of course, they did the shtick with Edge and then got kicked out the group. But that group is dull without Rhea Ripley. She
Yeah.
single-handedly helped two of the biggest groups in WWE together and walked them through it while being the women's champion, not afraid to fight in the big fights. And she had some great championship matches. I dare say to the detriment of the other female wrestling champions because, well, we would know, but you think about it. Who else is the women's champion in the WWE?
Io Sky and Leah Valkyrie in
Rhea
NXT.
Ripley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but Rhea
but
Rhea Ripley
man, what is
only one.
right? Because what has EO done?
Nothing.
And in order to say the women's championship in NXT, they had to call on Becky Lynch.
Yeah,
Rhea has
yeah.
been consistent. She has grown on the microphone. She's supposed to be booed with the rest of Judgment Day, and we are cheering her on because we know just how great mommy is. Rhea Ripley is tied for the Breakout Superstar of the Year with the one man who proved that you're never too old to get your chance to be a breakout star. And that man is L.A. Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This man in TNA, formerly known as Eli Drake, brought his same shtick to the WWE when we thought he was going to be whitewashed in the Maximil models and decided that enough of this, I am a true wrestler, and we all ran with him. I dare say he became a bigger star than Cody being reintroduced to the WWE.
You can argue that. You could. I
You're
wouldn't
never
argue
too
you.
old to make because you're never too old to make an impact. This man fought Roman Reigns, and we as pure wrestling fans knew that they were never going to put the bet on LA Knight. But the way he beat Roman on the microphone has something to say because Roman has been a savant when it comes to the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. No, man.
So,
L.A.
man,
Knight. Um, I'm familiar with him. You know, he's like you mentioned, he's not a spring chicken. He's 40 years old. He's been in the industry
mhm,
almost 20 years. He's been in TNA, he's been in NWA, he's been a world champion in TNA or Impact at the time. Um, did very well in NXT, but not like burn the house down, and then was immediately repackaged upon the debut of Max Dupree, and I thought he could have got it over. God damn, man, you're absolutely right. He had really got the cosign from John Cena, and he's a certified bona fide superstar that arguably could probably argue that he deserves a place in the main event of WrestleMania this year.
he could have, but then the CM Punk signed and changed all that. We're gonna get into that. I don't want to
We're
over
gonna
jump,
get it.
but when it
We're
comes to
getting
breakout
ahead of
superstars, yes, Rhea Ripley and LA Knight tied for me for breakout superstars of the year.
Oh man, I did not know we got two. I would have came more prepared, but absolutely, I rock with both of those. That's an equal tie, and I agree with Rhea Ripley. So that'll be my female breakout superstar. She arguably, like I said, it's not even breakout female superstar. She's just breakout superstar. Uh, One of the biggest, and whenever she does turn face, that pop is going to be crazy. Although I want to see her turn
Right.
more heel. I want to see her like break Dominic's heart and end up with Jey Uso or something. I don't know, but those are definitely
You
definitely.
know if she does that, the crowd's going to cheer her even louder. They hate Dom. They
They
hate
hate.
Dom. And they love her.
They love her. Maybe have Dominic cheat on her, like when Eddie did the two mamacitas are better than one mamacita, like he did to China, and that would get her all the sympathy. Like, how does this sleaze bad uh, cheat on Rhea Ripley? I don't know. Get at us. We're hiring. You can hire us as writers. So next, we're gonna go with promotion of the year. There's been man so much growth in pro wrestling. WWE is at a golden age. They've announced all time records and revenue and advertisement and every single metric that you can imagine. AEW still going strong. Fourth, fifth year in existence, still signing big stars. They've had some setbacks and lost some big stars. You got New Japan Pro Wrestling uh, kind of going through a resurgence after losing, some big stars over the last probably 5 or 6 years. They've lost some of their biggest stars who are now over in AEW, but they're still, kicking on strong. NWA, Impact, people now TNA, uh, low key, been putting on great shows for years now. Scott Demore over there, they've been putting on great, consistent shows. Um, wrestling's big. Then the independents, you got people like the king of the indies, Matt Cardona, doing huge things. You still got GCW. I mean, there's tons of pro wrestling out there to consume. So, of all of those promotions, which one to you, year to year, January to December, put on the best shows, best consistency, best stories? What has your promotion of the year?
So, and I know it's going to sound like it's a lot, but it's hard to disagree with the WWE. And I'll break it down. We are not in here just to down everybody else. These promotions have been wonderful, but when it comes to consistent storytelling, all of their brands, all of their upper management have played pivotal roles in giving us good quality shows. I mean, AEW had some wonderful matches. Whoever thought we was gonna get Kenny Omega and golly, what's the guy's name? Kelly Oubre. Who thought we were
Oh,
gonna get that match? You know, and that's wonderful. But the WWE's been the most consistent. The return of Cody Rhodes. The whole Bray Wyatt story to his tragic passing. Roman Reigns, one of the most dominant champions in recent memory. And with those stories and the fact that you could just supplant different stars and make a great show. I dare say, and I'm going to say his name in a minute because it always escapes me. I always say he's the guy that has the prime drink. Who thought this YouTuber would be one of the most gifted natural wrestlers to wrestle in the WWE?
Logan
But the
Paul is
WWE gave him a
diamond in the
chance.
rough. Amazing. Logan Paul.
Yes, Logan
Amazing.
Paul. I mean, you think about it. All these other promotions have been doing great, but the reason why I can't give them this, and you alluded to it earlier, they've lost top stars in one way, shape, or form. All of them: AEW, New Japan, TNA. But when it comes to WWE, even with all the cuts and all these things, other than Edge, who is an older superstar who let his contract thing he left on his own. The only other real top stars that they truly lost over last year was Naomi, who's now going by Trinity, who was already out of the program, and Dolph Ziggler. They really didn't lose anything heavy, but they gained Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill, arguably one of the biggest female wrestlers AEW had out. And how are they trying to supplant her and put her more into place? They're repackaging old WWE wrestlers. So for me, it's easy. WWE promotion of the year, consistent product, whether you love it or hate it, and even in the midst of Vince retiring, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, who don't get enough credit for the work he's doing in NXT, have still been able to give us great product and build us superstars of the future. Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, who's
What?
now coming out of the blue. Like, you
Dragunov is
can't
amazing.
argue with WWE.
You can't
Hmm.
argue with WWE.
Last Legend.
WWE is Last Legend is dope. The metaphor. Um, Tiffany Stratton, Cora Jade. Uh, I could have
Nikita
argued that Shawn
Lyons.
Michaels. Uh, mm, mm, ooh,
Hmm.
uh, you, they made a brother stumble. Ooh, it got hot in here.
My
Um,
plan B.
yeah, you could argue, and I would hear you out if you said Shawn Michaels was the Book of the Year. You could argue that because NXT 2.0, let me tell you, it was a rough watch. It's a tough watch.
Yes.
It was
Splash
a
of Neon
tough
didn't do
watch.
nothing.
No, but Shawn Michaels got there, and he was there before, but when he really got pretty much 100% control of molding these kids, and who better, Of course, you see the Bret Hart shirt, but don't get me wrong, we had the same initials. I'm a heart break kid fan all the way, and when I got married many moons ago, I came down the aisle to the Heartbreak Kid. So yeah, Shawn Michaels all the way, and it's perfect. And like I said, the talent out there, Nikita Leon.
Mm.
Sorry, but yeah, she's
I ain't
dope.
sorry.
Yeah, she is she's dope, and NXT is dope. But yeah, WWE, you can't really have Book of the Year and not be Promotion of the Year. It's almost hand in hand. AEW's lost a lot. You mentioned two foundational pieces, literally one of the first five wrestlers to build the company, a EVP who knows the inner workings of the company. And that says a lot. When you're literally an EVP and could probably book yourself a championship, and you're like, nah, I'll go swim with the sharks over there. And when he came, Vince was still in the picture. You know what I mean? So he really believed in himself and worked to put himself in this position. And yeah, WWE is it's hard to argue. The metrics show it, the money shows it, but for more importantly, for me, as what I got into wrestling for, has all the elements that I want. It has surprises, it has the comebacks, has a story. Nobody tells a story better than WWE. It's almost cinematic. Their production. Shout out to Kevin Dunn, who just resigned, the last of the
Mm.
Vince crew. So it's really a whole new era. Who thought WWE would get sold and become this massive
Right.
conglomerate? You know, and I thought when they, first got sold, I was like, but then I
Was
actually
ready.
like started looking at what they brought to the table, and instantly it just seemed bigger. And now it's believable. I don't think you could have got Rock back under Vince, but the mutual gain of Rock affiliating with the TKO Holdings Group. Now all of a sudden, the strike is over and it looks like he's back, and we'll talk about that later. The surprise of CM Punk. Never thought I would see that in my lifetime. I thought that ship had sailed. I thought I would
Oh
see
man.
him like Impact, because I heard Impact offered him seven figures. I thought I would see him there first, but to come and kind of rub it in Tony's face, that's very CM Punkish. So yeah, WWE for me, promotion of the year. Congrats, Triple H, Nick Khan, all the people over there, all the wrestlers out there. You guys are doing great, and WWE. I'm glad they are back. So next we have match of the year. It's been a lot of matches and a ton of promotions. AEW has had some great ones. NXT has had some great ones. Of course, WWE has had some great ones. So for you, what was the match of the year? The match that you just thought was the one that as they would say, six star match. But what was like the dopest match of the year for you?
Um. So I'm gonna go left field. It is a WWE match, of course, even though Daniel Bryan and Kelly Oubre Jr. put on a hell of a match.
Hell of a
But
match.
I love technical wrestling and that clears the palate. But I would be remiss to say that the match between Gunther and Drew McIntyre was not one of the best matches I have ever seen. That is a wrestler who, by this time next year, will be challenging Roman Reigns for the belt. I will get more into WrestleMania here in a minute, but and I hate saying going to I like saying Walter, but that is one of the most underappreciated wrestlers that we have. The man is literally a ring general. He's not 30 years old yet, to my knowledge. If he is
No,
30, he's a young
he-
30.
he's like
And
28.
man, huh?
He's like
Yeah,
28
and can
and like
and
the rest of his
wrestles.
life.
Just and he wrestles like a man that's been wrestling for 20 years. It's amazing watching him perform in the ring, and he could put on a match with anyone and pull them through. So for me, when he challenged Drew McIntyre, man, you talk about two wrestlers that gave it everything and cheered them on. That has to be my match of the year. Uh, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, man. It's hard to argue. That definitely gets a. But Gunther is amazing, bro. He's like a throwback to like the Killer Kowalski, like these dudes that you like, man, I don't want to fight this dude in the bar. You know how there's some people that you're like, this dude could smack my wife right on the bottom, and I just be like, I mean, you should take it as a compliment, really, because like Gunther is what anybody else. You be like, oh no, we got the Rumble right now, but some people you're like, I don't want that smoke. You want to be violated and single? Is that what you want? So because he's going to kill me.
Mhm.
Gunther gives me that vibe, man. He's such a professional. The fact that, and I love Walter. Shout out to Walter. If you don't know about, if you just know him as Gunther, check out the old NXT UK Walter. He had the longest reign of the UK. I think he only lost one match to Dragunov. Um, he was phenomenal. But if you look at Walter and you look at Gunther, they don't look like the same people because he knew, okay, um, if I'm going to be on this stage, if I'm going to be elevated, yes, I got where I am the way I am, but he changed his body to now he looks like this European elite, suave, but still like he looks like a James Bond villain. He gives you like real life
Okay,
James Bond,
that's a good one.
and I could definitely see him being, the champ within. If he's not, it was 2024. If he's not champ going into 2025, I'm going to be shocked because I think he needs to be the one that takes it from Cody. I don't think Cody needs to keep it long. I think Cody needs to finish the story, and then he's better chasing it and have Gunther be the one to beat him eventually. If I'm fantasy booking,
Mhm.
but that's here. Um, so my match of the year is very, very close. It was WrestleMania. Also, it was Gunther, but it was the Gunther Sheamus Drew McIntyre match at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
That was my match of the year. I don't normally like triple threats because it's usually like somebody falls and rolls to the outside, two people get their stuff off, somebody comes in, then they
Mhm.
fall to the outside, those two, and then it's some shenanigans. But man, they beat the hell out of each other. When it just comes to, and you mentioned Daniel Bryan had some incredible matches, but a lot of his matches to me are too violent. Like he really likes violence, and I like cartoon violence. I don't want to see people bleeding, and that's why I don't like Moxley matches. Um, I don't want to see people
Yeah.
like literally getting broken bones and broken. Like this is why Vince had to protect you from yourself. I see now, and that's something maybe for another episode. Is Tony Khan doing the best for these guys? That weren't cleared. Page coming back to the ring, and I'm so happy for. But it kind of scares me that WWE couldn't clear, but all of a sudden you can. That's another story. But yeah, for me,
Right.
Gunther, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. If they ever made a stable, God knows that could be the biggest stable ever. They kind of tried it before, but they just need a mouthpiece. I don't know if I mean, Drew's all right on the stick, but Sheamus too. Sheamus acts, but yeah, those three. I'm kind of sad Sheamus didn't get the title, but now that Gunther's
Yeah.
got the record, I say he hold on to it until he's ready to go for the world title.
And and it's funny because we didn't mention, the Cody Rhodes match against Roman Reigns, and there's a reason why those were great matches, but
Right.
it's a Roman Reigns match. And for as much as we wanted to believe that Cody was going to finish his story, One of the next people we're going to talk about as pure wrestling fans, we knew was coming for the title. I mean, they've been speculating it ever since Roman started getting close to breaking the record once he became the head of the table. So you cheer for Cody, but you just in the back of your mind, you knew it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah,
And that's
I
why I
mean
couldn't give it the.
they got me. I really thought, okay, this makes sense. Give this guy, but then part of me was like, there's no way they're gonna let an AEW guy come in and beat our guy. No matter what, Vince has this thing, and Vince still has significant sway at this time. Vince has this thing where his homegrown talent is always gonna beat someone that came from the outside. And even though Cody Rhodes is technically his homegrown talent, he was still had the stench of AEW on him. So I didn't think that they were going to let him win. But I am very glad in retrospect that they didn't let him win because now he has an opportunity to earn it. And he just said he came here to finish the story. He didn't say he was going to finish it at this WrestleMania. And hey, maybe his story doesn't get finished. That could be a part of it. I'm sure his daughter will be happy to look at those checks if he doesn't get the belt. I do think they're going to give it to him because it would be the biggest like blue balls in wrestling. But look, Roman Reigns, as you mentioned, his matches are going to be gets beat up. It's going to be interference for somebody on the bloodline. He's going to get some spears, a couple of Superman punches. He may choke you out. He may spear you, but it's going to be interference. That has been the copy paste Roman Reigns match setup for the last 3 years, and nothing's going to change. I personally feel that this limited schedule has a lot to do with his long going health. And so they're saying, how can we maximize a superstar um, for as long as possible and keep him healthy? Because he's no spring chicken. Obviously, Hollywood is waiting for him, and that's going to be there for him whenever he decides to hang the boots up. But what a perfect way! He wrestled 11 matches this year. 11 matches, and for a lot of people that complain, oh, they should be wrestling 280 matches like they did in the 80s. A lot of those guys are dead. There's not a boxer
Facts.
that's fighting 11 times in a year. There's not a UFC fighter fighting 11 times in a year. And these professional athletes put their body arguably through way more trauma than some of these guys. And probably the
Hmm.
closest would be football players that could be the only people that can even compare to the type of trauma because everyone that, for the most part, that have tried to do this from another sport has failed miserably, except for the wonder kid Logan Paul. But ultimately, it's just been hell. I forgot the hell what I was talking about. What was I talking about?
I'm talking about the longevity of Roman Reigns and the fact that he only
Oh
wrestled 11 matches.
yeah, he wrestled 11 matches. That makes it special. He's not going to be there. I feel bad that they had to make
Right.
secondary title, and we can talk about that later because he's not there to defend the title. But at the end of the day, it makes it special. So I feel. Do you think they're going to go for the Hogan record now? They're so close.
Yeah, they'll go for it, and we'll talk about it more when because we got one of the things, and I'm gonna touch on that. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like stone him, but hear me out before you just throw me away. I think they're gonna go for the title because Roman still sells.
Yep.
As long as when you do this, and the crowd and the majority of the crowd is with you, you're not going anywhere. Roman, he literally pushes the needle. He said it himself. And I want to give an honorable mention before we get off this topic. Logan Paul and Ricochet's match,
Fantastic.
fantastic match. Logan Paul he's a superior athlete. I have to give him credit.
Oh yeah, I put Logan Paul up there. The only man that is taken to this sport so quickly, Kurt Angle. That's it. Uh,
Right.
you would think he was Shawn Michaels, Logan Paul, like growing up loving this and wanting to do this, and this is all he wanted to do. I had no respect for the guy when he first came in and he was paired with the Miz. He wasn't that great on the mic to me, and they were trying to package him as a face, which is like, dumb. That's Vince. All the YouTubers like him. Good shit. Yeah, we'll make it. But ultimately, he gained my full respect for what I saw. The match that turned it for me was the Roman Reigns match. I was like, how dare they put him in the ring with Roman Reigns this early into his career? And I mean, if he did not only look like he belonged there, I will say that he out wrestled Roman Reigns easily. And I'll
Yeah,
stand on that. I'll stand on that confidently. So shout out to, and Ricochet is just a freak of nature. So shout out to him. Shout out to him.
that's also fair.
All right. So did match of the year. So now we're gonna get into the individual awards. Who do you have as your female wrestler of the year? There's been a ton of females. I think we know the answer, but there's been a ton of females that have really stepped up to the plate in all of the promotions. From TNA Trinity doing her thing, um, Timeless Tony Storm being super entertaining over there in AEW. Athena doing her thing over in Ring of Honor. Of
Well,
course, WWE has pound for pound the best female wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. Before she got injured, Mercedes Moné doing her thing in New Japan. So
yeah.
it's been a lot of ladies out there doing their thing. But who do you have as your female superstar wrestler of the year?
First of all, timeless Tony Storm, chin up, tits out, watch for the shoe. Love it to death. But there's only one mommy, and she rules the throne with an iron fist. Rhea Ripley is arguably wrestler of the year, but I'm not gonna get on that. I don't want to argue with nobody on that. Rhea Ripley not only continued to carry the women's division, her presence made other wrestlers step their game up. Raquel Rodriguez, she stepped the game up. They had to bring back Nia Jax. They brought in wrestlers to really see who could dethrone Mommy. Put it this way, Rhea Ripley's star shines so bright. The up and coming superstar and Bianca Belair had to take a back seat and go fight Charlotte Flair because she was getting dwarfed. And that is no offense to her by Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley moved different. She can fight the fellas as well as the women. And she is the one female that I've seen in a long time make a group of men behave on a wrestling platform. She's amazing on the mic. She's believable as a bad guy. She has a future as a manager for any stable she does see fit. And she is in the prime of her wrestling career. She could give you a full-on match. She just her and Ivan now just had an amazing match the other night. But if you don't like mommy, my female wrestler is Rhea Ripley.
Brother, when you're right, you're right. And you are right. I agree with you 100%. I knew we were the two horsemen for a reason. Uh, man, as Jay Uso would say, I love Rhea Ripley, man. I've never wanted to be body slammed by someone so much in my life. My lady in my life already knows that. We both mutually agreed that if she ever wants to body slam me, it's okay. Uh, she's just dope, man. And it's not even like the typical pervy wrestler fan like sexualized. She's cool, man. She's like if
Hmm.
China and Scott Hall merged into like one cool being with an Australian accent, it would be Rhea Ripley. And to see her evolution, and she's like you mentioned in wrestling years, she's young. We still see Trish Stratus, which by the way was my runner up. She had a hell of a run this year. She's like 47
Hmm.
years old. So shout out to Trish Stratus.
Shout
Um,
out.
but but yeah, Rhea Ripley is a star. and arguably took over the court while Roman Reigns was on vacation most of the time. If she doesn't get MVP of the year, I don't know who does. So for me, I don't think there's any argument there. Rhea Ripley, she is definitely female wrestler of the year, arguably wrestler of the year, and she definitely gets a.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
Keep you on your toes. All right, so
That's
now
all right.
the the one that they come here for, male wrestler of the year 2023, had a ton of breakout superstars. Seth Rollins over on Raw, Roman Reigns when he was there, John Cena came back for a run, Solo, Gunther over, and that's just WWE. And New Japan, you got Okada still in the prime of his career. You've got Jay White coming on over to AEW, but he was doing his thing. Will Ospreay is amazing. Daniel Bryan, when he wasn't injured, had a hell of a year. Tons of wrestlers that you could give that crown, that title belt to. But for you, who was your male wrestler superstar of the year?
Well, when we talk about male wrestling, we talking about in the ring work in wrestling. I'm gonna give it to Cody Rhodes. The finishing story arc was great. When everyone in the wrestling world was heartbroken when he didn't win, the only thing he did was continue to go after the bloodline. Ended up winning the tag team title, him and Jey Uso, and has been a mainstay, in the ring. And the only reason that he isn't the world heavyweight champion instead of Seth Rollins is because, I mean, hey, it's Seth Rollins. But Cody Rhodes' whole story, it even dwarfed all of the CM Punk narrative when he was on his way out in AEW. Like when you heard about that, the only thing you were thinking about was finish the story. WWE capitalized on even bringing him back. They put out a documentary as soon as they brought him back. They did this documentary about his dad and his family because it was him. A lot of wrestlers this year had great years. Arguably, MJF had a stellar year this year. Then teaming him up with Adam Cole, baby, and giving him someone else. So he was the tag champ and the world heavyweight champ in AEW. Phenomenal. I'm going to mention the wrestler nobody really mentions. I truly believe this young man should be one of the top three promotions. That's not saying taking none away from TNA. I love Moose. I think he's a gifted physical specimen. He showed he could be a heel or a face. Loving his work as a heel. Uh, Great work in the ring. Of course, Kelly Oubre Jr. I mean, so many good wrestlers. But Cody Rhodes' story and his work in the ring and him being one of the only acts that made you believe that, oh, okay, they might take the blood off Roman. But this is why I give him male wrestler of the year.
Oh man, those are all super valid points. I agree with most of those. Number one, WWE's shrewdest move, I think, in the long run, is being is it's doing what they're doing with Cody Rhodes right now, because it shows any superstar, that homegrown superstar that AEW has built, when they get an opportunity, they know that if they go to WWE under this regime, they can be made bigger than ever. And that's why the WWE is still the number one promotion in the world. It's the end game for all pro wrestlers. You can like this style, you can like that style, you can like indie wrestling, you can like hardcore wrestling, you can like strong style, you can like, but at the end of the day, any of those wrestlers, if they had an opportunity to be in the shoes of a Cody Rhodes, the shoes of a Roman Reigns, a Seth Rollins, we see with Jade Cargill. You mentioned her. She
Mm,
was
mm,
arguably the biggest homegrown superstar that AEW had, and at the first opportunity, she's out the door. That's not good. And with I don't know if MJF, you mentioned him, re-signed or not. They say he's a free agent. Many say that he hasn't. I don't know. I don't have any sources, so I can only speculate. I'm hoping, as a smart businessman, Tony Khan had this man under contract. I'm hoping and praying. I think if he's not already under contract, um, that has to be the end for AEW. It's got to be close to one of the nails in the coffin. Um, but for me, the male superstar of the year, uh, probably one of my top three guys overall. But for me, it's the one and only Seth Rollins, man. Uh,
Nice pick.
he has evolved again. He's the architect. He's the Kingslayer. He's all these superlatives that they give, but at the end of the day, he might be best in the world. This guy has picked up for his Shield brother because he's allowed a big title to be defended. He gives more opportunities. He's a workhorse champion. He's over. He's got probably one of the biggest theme musics ever. Um, and he's just dope in the ring, and he's great either way. Heel, face, doesn't matter. I feel like a heel turn is probably coming, and we could probably talk about that later. But
Mhm.
for me, I love Cody Rhodes, and if we could do a 1A, 1B, Cody Rhodes would be right there. But I got to give it to the man. He's making this title relevant. Uh, big gold belt looks good on him. He's the sharpest dress. He's giving me Macho Man 2023 vibes with his dressing, and I think he's at his peak, and I think he's got a big WrestleMania ahead of him. So for me, I'm going to give it to my man Seth Rollins. And this is not. It seems like we've been all WWE. I assure you, when AEW does something great, we're going to show that love. But definitely, shout out to both those two gentlemen. You guys deserve it. And so now we're gonna get right into who wins the Royal Rumble. We've got a lot of options. It's 2 nights, two main events. We know one person who's going to be in that main event, no matter what, is Roman Reigns. So that means there's potentially 3 slots left. One of those people are going to be the person who wins this Royal Rumble. And right now, we've got more options than we would have had maybe a few months ago. Before, it would have been Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble. He challenges his Reigns. That's the way it goes. But now we have some monkey wrenches that have been thrown into this play that gives WWE a very enviable position to have the option to really throw a monkey wrench. And the old Vince would throw a monkey wrench just to throw it. But we could potentially have a CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble. That's a possibility. You could have,
Possibility.
if someone contract is really over, could an MJF show up, win the Royal Rumble? Holy shit. Has anyone thought about that? That's a possibility. What about the People's Champ, who just returned Monday night, who has some questions about where he could sit for dinner? The Rock, he could win the Royal Rumble easily. And then you have guys that are honestly probably deserving a LA Knight, sure. A Gunther, sure. A Brock Lesnar is always a possibility. Hell, R-Truth would be my pick. He might be the MVP of 2024.
I
Um,
love that's my man.
K Quick for those who know.
R-Truth.
But who do you have?
Quick.
Who do you have winning the Royal Rumble?
So,
Or who should?
you brought up a few good choices. But if we're talking about let's start with the men's side first. I would love to see R-Truth in the Royal Rumble. Let's start with why R-Truth is probably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, just being himself. Uh, an amazing man in real life. One of the only wrestlers in whom Vince McMahon has a true relationship with outside of the ring. But if we're talking about winning the Royal Rumble, of course, to me, CM Punk wins the Royal Rumble. And I know y'all are like, but what about Cody Rhodes? I don't believe that Cody Rhodes will win it this time. He won it last year. Um, they're not going to let him win it this year. And I believe that CM Punk wins the Royal Rumble, but instead of facing Roman, he challenges Seth Rollins just because of the dynamic of the relationship that they have. You know, not only does it push Seth more towards being a face, but it gives CM Punk his natural heel vibe. They know that there's some issues with them in real life. Seth Rollins don't like him. It's a beautiful WrestleMania match. Gives time for Punk to get in shape, which is why I didn't pick The Rock to win the Royal Rumble. We're going to get more into that because I'm not going to say what I want to say now because I'm telling y'all what I seen Monday night. Y'all gonna have to hold on with me. Don't crucify me. But I got CM Punk winning it. But when it comes to the female Royal Rumble, even with all these talented women that we got, and not only in NXT, the Last Legends, the Gigi Goldens, and Nikita Lyons, and then of course it's Charlotte Flair, of course, Bianca Belair, of course. It's being set up to be hand delivered and given to Jade Cargill, who has yet to see a WWE ring, and one of the biggest signings for WWE last year. She comes into the Royal Rumble at 30. She outlasts everybody else. And then her story arc with Rhea Ripley begins. It writes itself. Oh man, what a match. Can you think about it? Mommy, the Unstoppable Force versus the Immovable Object, which is Jade Cargill. And whoever her agent is, and they say X-Men movie, she needs to be starring.
I don't know if she can act, but she definitely can be the body double. She
Right.
she's got a superstar. Um, I think right now WWE is doing the wisest thing. She's working with the absolute best in the business, finding out
Mhm.
her wrestling identity. One thing that WWE is good at is training people up to the best of their possibility. AEW, I find they take people as they get them and they just set them for what they are, and they don't really learn or necessarily improve. I think that's one of the things CM Punk and Cody Rhodes kind of alluded to, that people were just kind of doing their own thing, real cowboyish. I agree with you as far as the women. Jade Cargill, it's a reason they've held her off. There's a reason why she's toning up and really like fine tuning her wrestling, and she'll probably get a new finisher and some other things. And they package her. I see the same prediction. Number 30, probably going to be maybe Becky Lynch in there, because I think Becky Lynch probably end up getting in a program with maybe Bailey or something like that. We could talk about that. But I see number 30, her coming in, clearing the ropes, clearing the ring, and she takes on Rhea Ripley. And damn, that's a story. I kind of wanted her to join whatever this Hurt Business, Street Profits, weird coupling thing going on is the one that snaps them into shape. But I
Kind of
don't even
fizzling
know.
out.
Yeah, not only is it fizzling out, I don't know if they like the crowd won't boo them. They're trying to make them heels, but it's not working. People like those
No.
guys too much. So how can you make the Street Profits heels? Doesn't work. All you did is put them.
Bring in Ronda Rousey. Make Ronda
Uh,
Rousey the manager. You'll boo.
yeah,
They'll boo Bobby and everybody.
yeah,
The
yeah.
crowd don't like Ronda Rousey.
Well, I don't either. She said some things about pro wrestling as a pro wrestling fan. It's real disrespectful. And you're not as good as you thought you are. That's why you're rolling around there on like the independents right now, because they did not care to re-sign their contract. The money was the juice was worth a squeeze. Uh, but for the men,
Right.
I agree with you as well. CM Punk, the writing on the wall is there's other ways. Everybody says, "Oh, Cody needs to face Roman." They're not on the same brand. They kept them apart for a reason, so Cody can go through these tribulations and climb the mountain and find his way back over. I'm sure there'll be another trade. At first I thought he was going to be the one that was traded over for Jey Uso, but they went ahead and sent Kevin Owens over. But he will end up either in the elimination chamber or free agent, so whatever it goes, he'll more than likely end up over on SmackDown to somehow challenge Roman. At least that's the match that everybody is anticipating. But now, as we mentioned, there's a potential monkey wrench with The Rock. So that brings me to my next question for you, my wise man. If The Rock is indeed to come back, what did we do with The Rock? Do we make this a triple threat? Because Rock and Reigns is a WrestleMania match, right? It's no way that's a Elimination Chamber or Royal Rumble match, right?
Okay. Okay. Oh God. After what I seen Monday night, I would not put The Rock in the ring with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. He's not in wrestling shape.
He's big.
Dwayne Johnson is big. He's an amazing actor shape.
He's aesthetically in shape.
But right. But as John Cena showed us, when you're that old, and let's be honest, The Rock is a 50-year-old man.
50 plus.
You can't get in that ring and do what you used to do at 50. He did not look good against Jinder Mahal the other
No. He's
night. That
stiff.
spine buster was not spine busting. He skipped to my loop on the rock bottom. And I know people love Dwayne Johnson. I love Dwayne Johnson. I don't think his movie Black Adam got that fair of a shake. Neither here nor there. Different platform. I love, and I will talk about that on something else. It wouldn't be believable. He's not the one to beat Roman. If we're gonna have him fight Roman, he can fight him at the Elimination Chamber, or he can fight him at the Royal Rumble. Don't put him with Roman in WrestleMania. You're gonna disappoint all those fans in Philly. And one thing we know about a Philly crowd, wherever they are, if it's not believable, they will boo you out of the building. And The Rock and his brand has already taken a hit after the whole Black Adam thing and not being re-signed to the DECU. No, it won't work. I say give it to him at the Royal Rumble. Let it be a great family match. Roman will carry Rock, and that's wild to say out loud. But let's let's go ahead and give Cody his shot again at WrestleMania because we already know Damian Priest is probably going to lose his briefcase at the Royal Rumble.
So okay? So let's retract. So I'm gonna get on The Rock in a minute. But let's retract with this Damian
Hmm.
Priest. What do you mean by that? Lose? Do you think he's gonna cash it in at the Royal Rumble?
Yes, he's going to cash it in. They won't let him cash it in at WrestleMania. There is no way Damian Priest takes that belt off either Seth Rollins or CM Punk. It just won't happen. Damian Priest is in the Judgment Day. Uh, he's been doing well to see your Money in the Bank, but me and you as wrestling fans, none of his cash-ins have been like, oh, okay, he's going to win the belt tonight.
No.
Unfortunately, when they were going to push him to the moon, they hadn't the merger yet. Vince came back. He already had the briefcase. Right now is he's the biggest question mark in the Judgment Day, and so something will happen where he loses his opportunity, and that causes friction for them because they didn't see Rhea Ripley's star shining that bright, and he'd be the main reason he lead the Judgment Day. But when it comes to The Rock, I would not have The Rock wrestle at WrestleMania. He is not in wrestling shape. If he's not going to do what CM Punk's been doing and wrestling house shows with Dominic Mysterio or something like that, don't do that to yourself, WrestleMania.
Yeah, and the last time, for those that recall, the last time Rock actually had a wrestling match, a full wrestling match, he tore his abductor right off the bone in like first 15 minutes and was like, Hollywood doesn't allow you to risk your body because we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in these films at the Rock's level. So if he has to get a surgery and recover for 6 months, that means whatever movie he was filming, it's going to be pushed back, which is going to cost the studio money. It's going to cost the people in the set. There's insurance things. It's messy. The reason why you don't see John Cena wrestling, but when there was a strike, he was back, is because you can't do both at the same time. Now, I do believe The Rock probably has carved out some time because Hollywood got delayed due to the writer's strike, due to the actor's strike. A lot of movies won't be shooting until 2025. So he's got a perfect little gap in his schedule. But I agree with you. I saw him on Monday Night Raw. He looked bloated and slow because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, now, mind you, that's me who's shaped like a tube of toothpaste talking about The Rock's body. But when you're talking wrestling shape, someone that looks like they could go 20 and 30 minutes, which is required in a WrestleMania main event match, he doesn't look like he can do it. He didn't look like he could do it 10, 12 years ago when he came back with John Cena. And he's only gotten 10 to 12 years older. He needs, like you said, the only thing that can knock off ring rust is being in the ring. And I'm not talking
Right.
about, practicing in a ring that WWE sends you with your daughter over at NXT. I'm talking about going to a house show and wrestling a workhorse like a Dominic Mysterio or someone like that can really pace you because it scares me when you say Roman's going to have to carry The Rock, which he would because Roman is somewhat limited himself in the ring. He counts on these people that can bump for him and really make him look like the megastar he is. And don't get me wrong, he is a megastar, but Hulk Hogan couldn't wrestle his way out of a paper bag either. So you don't necessarily have to have the best ring bell to bell to be a superstar. So I
Right.
would like The Rock to be more of another chapter in this story that ultimately I think ends with the bloodline betraying Roman and Roman getting to a mega heel push. But I don't want to see him at WrestleMania. I would love it at Elimination Chamber as the last stop before WrestleMania for Roman. I think that's perfect. And then, let The Rock, he's given us the people, but he doesn't rob Cody of his moment. And I don't want to see a triple threat either because The Rock doesn't need the title. You know what I mean? The title
Right.
does nothing for Rock. It does everything for Cody. Unless, of course, you're going to drop the
Mm-hmm.
belt. Roman drops the belt. And this is an option. We already know that at Royal Rumble, Randy Orton faces Roman Reigns. What if The Rock
Mm-hmm.
costs Roman the title? Because Roman, you saw his tweet, he kind of just laughed at The Rock. Rock doesn't like that. You don't disrespect The Rock. Rock comes in, interferes,
Right.
boom, Randy Orton. Now he's tied John Cena. I believe that would time for John Cena with 16 titles, right?
Right.
So,
I believe
or
so. Yeah.
dangerously close. We with Cena and Flair with 16 titles. Randy Orton wins. He has the belt. Now Roman's pissed. You got your attention. Bloodline's crumbling because Roman doesn't have the belt. Now we're going to fight for the tribal chief. Roman versus Rock at WrestleMania. But now we have Randy Orton and Cody. for the WWE title.
Okay.
Cody takes it off of Randy Orton. They have the legacy together. Randy can turn heel just like that. Cody still finishes his story because the story wasn't about beating Roman Reigns. The story is about winning that WWE title. And now you have Randy Orton and Cody at WrestleMania for the undisputed title. And then you have Rock versus uh, Roman for tribal. And now you almost have three main events because you have Seth and CM Punk, you have Rock, you have Roman, and you have Cody, and you have Randy Orton. How's that sound?
Right. It sounds great. You still don't want that Roman Rock match to go too long, like you said. Hollywood ain't taking no oops. I think he tore his ACL. This is gonna be fat ass lawsuit. Somebody go ahead to pay.
Well, the good thing about Roman Reigns matches, regardless, there's a lot of interference. So I think it will ultimately end up being, hell, do a cinematic match. We haven't had one of those since The Undertaker.
Hmm.
Rock's good at action. Do a cinematic match. Do a Tribal Allen match or something where they got like Rikishi, they got all the bloodline, they got everybody. They out there fighting in the sand with some fire shit. Make it a movie. Make it epic. Do a cinematic match. That way the Rock stuntman can come in, take some bumps for him. I'm down.
Yeah, man. I think that'll be perfect. I didn't want folks to be mad, but we just one of the things we're gonna try to do on here is be totally honest with the people. The people temp look a little sluggish.
It looks a little sluggish, and you have to remember, like you said, I think he's 52, 53 years old. He hasn't wrestled competitively since really on a wrestler schedule since probably what 2004 or something like that. It's 2023. We're almost talking 20 years here. Um, I think just the teasers are good. The teasers are good, but I don't know. I feel like it's gonna happen. And I would hate to see Cody Rhodes miss out on his opportunity, but we'll see.
Okay.
Well, guys, that's it, man. That's our first episode, brother. We've talked about it all. We've talked about it all, man. So, oh yeah, welcome to the Two Horsemen Wrestling Podcast with your boy Marz and Big Gerald. Man, we're gonna have so many topics that we're gonna cover. This is just episode 1, so we're gonna be digging into it more and more. But first, I got to give a big round of applause and special thanks to my wise man, Big Gerald, for joining me on this journey, brother. Thank you. You are
Man,
insightful,
wonderful.
intelligent, intensity, your own 3 eyes, man. You brought it. I appreciate you, bro. This is going to be real fun as we crack into these wrestling events week in and week out for you guys. So please let the people know where they can find you and what else we got going on.
Oh man, so you can find me at Gerald Williams on Facebook, um, Leroy J1117 on Instagram. The Christian Mingle. We always gonna go up. It stays going up. You also catch me on Down in the Den after dark. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, your boy is gonna be on Blow the Whistle tomorrow, and I'm gonna be giving Cal Jones all the hell he deserves. Because not only am I good with the wrestling game, I know sports and I got the truth on my side. How about him? I'm scared of our in the game. And that's all I'll say about that.
Y'all got to tune in. We've been waiting for this episode for these two Cowboy fans to lock. I'm going to be there in attendance. So please tune in tomorrow to check out Blow the Whistle Sports with my man Big Gerald, my man Cal Jones, of course, two founding members of the After Dark crew. And you know who it is. It's your boy Marz, a.k.a. Marlon Beardo, the Bearded Weirdo, the Bearded One. And, man, I can't wait to take you guys on this journey. This is one of my favorite topics in the world to talk about, and I couldn't have a better partner. So my tag team partner and I, we're taking over this wrestling game, if you will. We're going to take it over so I see white hands and black hands touching each other and reaching out and sharing popcorn, as Dusty Rhodes would say. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be reaching out to y'all out there in TV land. So you know the Two Horsemen, not 3, not 4, not 5 or 6, but the Two Horsemen podcast. We're bringing it in, brother. We're going to take over the world. And Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga. That's all we got for y'all. I thought you loved that reference.
I knew it was coming. I couldn't wait.
You knew it was coming. We love y'all guys. We out of here. We'll catch you next time. Keep
All right.
wrestling.
We want the gold, sucker. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
Yeah, 100s on the table, 20s on the floor.